More on the horror accident near Zeerust and an important ruling on the Draeger alcohol test. Good afternoon. Police in Northwest now say 11 teachers and 5 foreign nationals were burned to death in a horror road accident on the N4 near Zeerust this morning. Although the death toll is believed to have risen to 17, police say they can't confirm this as yet. Police spokesperson Lesego says they're working with relatives and colleagues to assist in identifying the deceased.
At this stage, we are still trying to identify the bodies. I can indicate that due to the state of the bodies, we cannot identify them because the combi caught fire immediately after the accident. Therefore, we are still struggling to get their identity. As soon as we've managed to get the identities, we'll reveal them to the media so that the nation can know who were involved in that accident.
The Western Cape High Court has ruled that the controversial Draeger test used to measure alcohol levels from breath of motorists cannot provide an accurate result. This has led to the acquittal of Cape Town motorist Clifford Hendricks on a drunken driving charge. Hendricks was challenging the validity of the test. Delivering a 70-page judgment on the matter, Judge Nathan Erasmus noted that his decision did not necessarily affect other provinces. He says the test used in the Western Cape may not be the same as that used in other provinces. The court has found that a person's body temperature or whether he wore dentures may lead to a false reading on the Draeger. 2 suspected poachers have been shot dead and 1 wounded in a shootout with the National Defence Force in the Kruger National Park. Sandparks says the men were confronted by soldiers near Houtbos in the south of the park. The wounded intruder is under police guard in hospital and expected to be charged soon. A soldier was slightly injured in the tussle. An AK-47 and a hunting rifle were confiscated. A sweep of the area did not reveal any animal carcasses or injured animals. President Jacob Zuma says for the climate change summit in Durban to succeed, the international community has to honor international commitments made in Cancun. Leaders at the last summit in Mexico agreed to, among others, mobilize at least $100 billion per annum until 2020 for the Green Climate Fund to help ease the impact of climate change in developing countries. Zuma was speaking at the end of the informal ministerial meeting on climate change in Pretoria this morning.
I call on the international community to honor the international commitments and undertakings made under the climate change process. For an outcome in Durban, a solution needs to be found that would preserve the balance between the continuation of the second commitment period of the Kyoto Protocol as it relates to mitigation and adaptation.
President Robert Mugabe says Zimbabwe will not allow British and European Union election observers at the country's next elections, whose date has yet to be set. The state-run Herald newspaper quotes Mugabe as saying Zimbabwe cannot invite people who have imposed sanctions on them to be observers. He was receiving Britain's new ambassador to Zimbabwe. After Mugabe launched controversial land reforms in the early 2000s, Britain and other EU countries imposed sanctions, including travel embargoes and assets freezers. And finally, New Zealand have easily beaten Tonga 41-10 in the opening match of the 2011 Rugby World Cup in Auckland. The score was 29-3 at halftime. The match was preceded by an impressive opening ceremony. The Springboks play their opening game against Wales in the New Zealand capital Wellington on Sunday. Recapping the top story, police in Northwest now say 11 teachers and 5 foreign nationals were burned to death in a horror road accident on the N4 near Zeerust this morning.